This is The Point, news from Noise, daily market call presented by Kattan Ferretti Financial. I'm your CEO, Brad Roth, and I look forward to having a daily discussion with you over the topics that we present in this note every single morning. So without further ado, The Point.
Good morning, Cameron, and listeners of The Point here at Kattan Ferretti Financial. Boy, is this true, Cameron? There's Trump and Comey are training for a three-legged potato sack race on the 4th of July.
It is. I believe that I saw that on SportsCenter this morning.
Boy, that's good that they're both tall guys. I don't know. It may not work otherwise, right?
That's true.
All right, fire away with the news.
In the United States, traders are expecting a 95.8% probability of a U.S. interest rate increase at the conclusion of the Federal Reserve's two-day policy meeting next week on June 14th. Next week is a heavier week for economic data, including consumer and producer prices for May, retail sales, business inventories, industrial production, and housing starts. The wholesale inventories data for April will be released at 10 a.m. this morning. Today is the day that the fiduciary rule is set to go into effect, and according to Bloomberg, the goal is to save consumers from high fees and give them more confidence that their financial advisors are on their side. The FDA is considering taking Endo International's opioid pain medication off of the market, sending the company's stock lower. The Digital Realty Trust Incorporation agreed to combine with DuPont Fabros Technology in an all-stock deal valued at about $7.6 billion, including debt, to bolster its data center properties in Silicon Valley. The traditional retail model is broken, which is leaving retailers looking for shorter leases in malls and the like. The household net worth was $94.8 trillion in the first quarter of 2017, which is up from $92.5 trillion of the last quarter of 2016. And also, GE is to sell its lighting business. Looking outside the United States, the British pound fell after Theresa May and the Conservative Party failed to gain a majority in Parliament in yesterday's UK election. The 10-year UK gilt yield moved 0 basis points, and the British utilities companies may see pressure relieved given these election results. The Airbus raised its 20-year forecast for the aircraft demand. In June is traditionally a tight time for Chinese banks because of regulatory checks, and this year, lenders are grappling with an official campaign to reduce the level of borrowing as well. The Bank of Japan Governor Haruko Kuroda said the country had escaped from deflation, but still had more progress to make before reaching its goal for 2% inflation. Japan's SoftBank is to buy a robotics arm from Google's Alphabet Incorporated, and debt talks may be stalling between the Brazilian steelmaker and creditors, while lastly, Russia is gaining ground on the goals of lower inflation. Now, Bobby, I see some important things here, such as this new fiduciary rule that's to go into effect, along with the potential rate hike.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole reason we started this firm, right? It was based around not just the fiduciary rule, but what it represents, right? So going into, even the crisis into 2008 and whatnot, it was very much legal for many advisors to not be doing things that are in your best interest. How that's possible, I have no idea. But as we exited into the new millennium, you saw the removal of a lot of regulatory standards in the industry, and it became this thing where technology could prevent and make our entire economy recession-proof. Which was obviously total nonsense. So bringing these standards back in pretty much means, even though they were delayed a couple of months, that all of you should check with your current financial advisors. Make sure that they've had you sign BICE agreements, make sure you've read them, and make sure you're asking a lot of hard questions as to what your actual returns have been. What is the market return during that time? And, none of you should ever feel shy to ask your advisors and the people who are taking care of your life savings some very hard questions. It shouldn't all be just about mediocre, overpriced dinners, There should be a lot of hard questions asked and a lot of conversations. And obviously, feel free to hit us up with any inquiries and whatnot. And we're more than happy to audit any of your financial statements. But as far as markets are concerned, I mean, it's why we throw in that little Trump and Comey joke in there. Markets don't care about any of this stuff. When we're in a raging bull market like we are right now, markets care about innovation. They care about returns. And from a bureaucratic level, all they care about is interest rates, the price of money. Those are the only decisions being made right now by bureaucrats or what should be politicians. I mean, the Federal Reserve certainly should be, positions that are voted on when they have so much input on what happens with our money and the cost of our money. So markets are going to be sitting on their hands until next week, and it's with a 95% chance that rates will be raised next week. They're not concerned. Markets aren't totally concerned, or traders aren't concerned with the actions of the Fed next week. They're concerned with the statements that accompany those actions. What does the Federal Reserve think about, international political risks? What does the Federal Reserve think about how many times they're going to raise interest rates the rest of this year? What do they think about a lack of wage inflation? What do they think about as far as the unwinding of their balance sheet? So after cutting interest rates to near 0%, to further aid the economy throughout the financial crisis, they were buying bonds in the open market. And now they're going to start unwinding their balance sheet, and it's just a matter of when and how fast they'll be unwinding. So we'll pay attention for comments like that. There's probably not going to be a whole lot happening in the market today and ahead of the Fed's comments next week, and really not a whole lot to pay attention to other than stories of innovation until the next, until the earnings season begins towards the middle of the summer. So other than that, if any of you have questions or comments, please feel free to send them over to Robert at KattanFreddie.com or Brad at KattanFreddie.com. But other than the Penguins win, what's this rant you're going on about Bryce Harper? $400 million. Well, you don't want to manage his money, Cameron?
I do not want to manage his money. I think it's a little ridiculous.
Well, then you're fired.
That's true. I think it's a little ridiculous. I think these guys are just a little overpaid. I mean, I get that he's worth maybe the highest contract in baseball, but I think the fact that the contracts are so high is a little unbelievable when he's going to be making maybe 400% more than Sidney Crosby would in a single year. But other than that, good Pens win last night. The Warriors look to sweep the Cavs tonight and go 16-0 in the playoffs. Ex-Bills wide receiver James Hardy was found dead in a river at the age of 31 after he was reported missing about a week or two ago. And in baseball, they're actually also talking about a pitch clock, which is upsetting a lot of the players, kind of taking away from the classiness of the game. And lastly, Vegas, I believe, does have Trump and Comey at 6-1 odds for the three-legged
race.
I think that's where they stand. So
place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you're in Western PA, it looks to be a beautiful weekend, so please enjoy it. And other than that, thanks for listening to The Point for Friday, June 9th, and we'll see you back here Monday morning. Thanks a lot, y'all.